Hello everybody and welcome to our TEDxTR talk. I am Kat and this is Melissa.
And we're here at the University of Waterloo speaking on behalf of the Therapeutic Rec team. And we're going to be discussing the current issues revolving those living with Alzheimer's and dementia and our roles as therapeutic rec specialists.
So I think we can all agree upon, regardless of the environment we've been in, there's a lot of confusion over what TR is and what our roles as TR specialists means within the facility that we're working. And I think traditionally we've looked at TR as a way to enhance well-being and to maintain a quality of life.
More specifically among the geriatric population, a lot of the time our roles involve the trainer, the clinician, the educator, the supervisor, the manager, the quality of life advocate. We're there to encourage, but we're also there to give the client a sense of empowerment. However, what does empowerment mean? And us as TRs, how much power do we have?
Right, so when Melissa refers to empowerment, we're going to, for the sake of this TED Talk, refer to it as a sense of becoming stronger and claiming one's rights and really just feeling empowered and a sense of control over the actions that you're taking.
So among the geriatric population, especially those living with Alzheimer's and dementia, we are going to focus on fostering empowerment and providing individuals a sense of control over their own life. And we really believe that as TRs in that population, that's our main task.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we accomplish all those things that Melissa just mentioned? And basically, we need to look at being TR specialists that advocate and emphasize person-directed values and really practices where the voice of those living with Alzheimer's and dementia are heard and valued and appreciated and respected. And if we were to look at previous work of TR specialists from the 1950s, such as Renskill, for example, it's apparent that our philosophies greatly differ from them. We've really become a field that practices empowerment and advocacy, and we need to be the leaders in demanding person-centered care regardless of the institution or the environment, whether that be clinical, whether that be the community.
And O'Keefe believes that your personal philosophy becomes a navigational tool of practice, and Kestenbaum suggests that your knowledge base is also viewed by how you view the world. So this one term of therapeutic recreation could be actually 2, 3, 10, or an endless number of ways of how people understand our jobs. And TR is a field really of reinvention, innovation, and progression.
So as practitioners, we need to become the change that we'd like to see. So whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in our community, or on a larger scale, the society in which we belong to. So we really need to take the time to uproot these heavily rooted preconceived prejudices and stereotyping that currently exist. And that requires the TR practitioner to work alongside those living with Alzheimer's and dementia, the population that we're referring to today, and really deconstruct the concept of giving consent and what it means to monitor and how we can carry our authority to enforce programming. And there's a whole array of current issues that we could discuss further beyond that.
So let's begin with talking about consent and autonomy. How do we know if someone truly understands the questions being posed to them or the potential outcome? How do we evaluate one's cognitive competency and ability to choose?
So there are approximately 25 diagnostic and assessment tools to determine one's cognitive competency. And these tests look at one's ability to understand words, numbers, sequences of ideas, and information processing.
But are these tests even relevant to the profession of therapeutic recreation? As TRs, we're trained to look beyond the spoken word. We must use our intuition by examining body languages and emotional responses to best determine their wishes if we're to lead them.
So going back to consent, consent is an individual giving permission for something to occur. And is consent real within the realm of Alzheimer's and their related dementias, or have we created this perceived sense of freedom? So our autonomy is free of external control or influence and gives us our free will. So true autonomy and self-determination are achieved through intrinsically motivated thoughts and feelings and actions. So do people living with dementia and Alzheimer's possess these qualities?
Of course they do. Yet we see so many times within long-term care homes, community programming, closely monitored settings, where individuals' meals, routines, leisure activities are so planned for them every day with little to zero input. And is this really a setting that we're providing them a space where their personal autonomy can grow and flourish?
Okay, so as TR professionals, we may use our authority to kind of persuade an individual to participate in an activity that we have this preconceived notion that it'll be beneficial to their well-being and to their health. And paternalism refers to someone in a position of power, and in our case, a TR specialist, making decisions based upon what they perceive to be the best course of action for someone that has been deemed incapable.
And we often see these actions within the world of dementia care, where professionals lead those they work with instead of allowing the individual to lead the professional. Instead of these structured programs designed for the masses, we should really just be focusing our energy on providing an array of options to empower participants to flex their individuality. So moving from consent and autonomy, what about reality therapy as a form of one's autonomy? Let's say Betty has Alzheimer's and comes to you concerned, frantic, and worried about her husband. He didn't come home for lunch and he hasn't called her at all today. You know that Betty's husband has passed away 5 years ago, but in her distress, do you bring her back to reality and tell her that her husband's dead? Or do you tell her a white lie and hope she doesn't realize you're lying? Reality therapy is a white lie to an individual with Alzheimer's or dementia because it's kinder and easier. And 98% of nurses and care staff have admitted to lying to their patients because it's in their best interest. This is similar to validation therapy, which takes into account the resident's thoughts and emotions. However, instead of lying, it encourages the caregiver to join the resident's reality and to explore it with them to help resolve the issue that they may be facing.
But is it ethically okay to do this? Is it demeaning? What if you find out that you're lying? Is it better to just ignore them, distract them, or bend the truth?
On the other hand, is reality orientation a better idea? This is when dates, surroundings, and locations are pointed out to the resident to try and bring them back to reality. So what do? Do we lie? Do we join their reality? Do we try and bring them back to our reality? Perhaps it's always situational. Perhaps it's best to leave it up to the TR caregiver to decide what's best to empower the client. Nonetheless, this is another current issue that TRs face when dealing with those living with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay, so moving on from reality therapy, we need to address breaking programs into different abilities. So another question that often arises within our TR practice is whether it's appropriate for us to separate our participants into specific programs based on their perceived ability and the level of functioning that they carry. And is this practice to enhance programming, or is it to make our life easier as TR practitioners? There are no specific guidelines on what is right and what is wrong for these situations currently, but if we look at an example as a woman who would like to attend a coffee program or conversation program, but she also uses language caused by her dementia and Alzheimer's that may be perceived as inappropriate or aggressive or harassment, could this change the dynamic of the program and for those with different cognitive functioning? So Therapeutic Recreation of Ontario states that we as specialists should support the clients in having full access and the freedom to choose recreation and leisure opportunities that they would enjoy. So based on how Tro explains the purpose of therapeutic recreation, it seems wrong to separate an individual based on their ability and their level of functioning, as you are taking away their autonomy and access.
A large part of being a TR is also our commitment to making programs accessible to all people. And our role is to make necessary adaptations so regardless of a client's ability or functioning, they can fully participate in our programs. So the question still remains, should we separate or should we not separate our clients into different levels of functioning for our programming? And if we continue to separate them, how does this affect their sense of empowerment?
So moving on from programming, we're going to evaluate the desire for intimacy. And on the topic of control and functioning and how do we decide one's ability to engage, how can we decide then if they have the ability to engage in intimate relationships? So as with many older adult populations, the Greater Society tends to look at individuals living within that population as asexual people with absolutely no desire to participate in sexual activities. But in recent years, since the advent of performance-enhancing drugs like Viagra, there have been much more open discussions and studies done on the sexual lifestyles of the elder population and those living with dementia. So much discussion in recent years has surrounded the topic of defining consent and knowing when individuals living with dementia have the capacity to make informed decisions about sexual relations.
Jennifer Hillman writes that it is important to note, like medical consent, sexual consent capacity functions on a continuum. Some older adults may be capable of making a decision about hand-holding and kissing, but not about engaging in heavy petting or sexual intercourse. The ability to give medical and sexual consent exists on a spectrum of capabilities for individuals with dementia. It's not an all or nothing thing. There's no denying that sexual expression and intimate contact between two older adults is still something greatly desired in long-term care facilities and retirement homes. However, on the part of a TR practitioner, it would become greatly beneficial to offer a group on sexual education free from judgment.
Regardless of an individual's mental ability, older adults feel as though this topic of sex has become this, I don't really know if you want to hear about this, and they feel as though the rest of society has come to terms of not wanting to know that they still feel these desires, or they still feel the need to form these intimate connections, and these preconceived societal stereotypes reduce individuals from their intersexually woven entities to an unempowered, learned helplessness.
So, where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we move forward with a profession that carries a multitude of individualized TR philosophies? And most importantly, how much control should a TR practitioner hold? Thanks for listening.